Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there, hello there, hello there. Tis I got up on the, I think, right side of the bed today, and Potter looks like he did too, so there goes your idea that we're always yin and yang. And
I'll fake it.
Okay, no, don't.
Fake a bad Saturday.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to, you know what you're tuned into, and it's May 9th. Why'd you wince?
Because my thing's all weird. Just keep talking.
Okay, all right. No, you just turned my headset off. Now I'm wincing. Now Jess is wincing. Will you stop?
Now I'm good.
Okay, he's good now.
I'm sorry for your inconvenience, but it was necessary for my own comfort.
All righty. So, actually, I need mine turned up a little more.
Sorry.
Is
anyway.
Me? That's yours. Okay, all right.
So.
Well, I'm not even sure where to start. As usual, your paper came out today. Is there anything in there?
It did. Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm running a little late today, so I'm glad to hear that at least one of us is functioning.
I have it right here.
It's interesting. I was just there's some discussion in the paper today about what the state's going to do with financing of higher education, and we have a piece in there. One of our sister publications in Ohio basically went to the U.S. Department of Education and had them do a breakdown of every publicly supported university in the United States, 660 odd of these.
Well,
things.
I think this has been done already, and Pitt and Penn State are the most expensive.
Everybody knows that Pitt and Penn State are the most expensive.
But so are all the other little ones.
Surprised us was the extent to which all the others. I think in the top 35, like 20 odd of them are Pennsylvania schools.
If you go to Pitt Titusville,
yes,
you're going to be spending what you could spend at a top rate school someplace. Yeah. What? So.
It sort of puts the lie to, Mitt Romney says, shop around if you can't afford your college of your first choice. I mean, you have to shop around essentially in another state, although even that's not such a great option because what we compared and what the comparison generally is in-state tuition.
Have you looked into why this happened? Has this been forever that...
It's been for a very long time. I mean, in fairness to Corbett, it's not like the situation has been that good in the past few decades. Pennsylvania for years has spent less per capita on its higher education support than a lot of other states have.
Yeah. Like you point out here, that Clarion, for instance.
Yes. Decent school.
Yeah. It's a decent school, but, no one outside of Pennsylvania has ever heard of it. Clarion University. It costs more to go to Clarion than some of the best-known schools in the nation.
Right. Ohio State is, I think, less than $10,000 a year. My brother went there. So
a lot of state schools that are considered really good schools, like University of Michigan, for instance, come in under. Yeah.
Not just Pitt and Penn State, but come in under Clarion and Penn State Bloomsburg or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's that to me was just sort of
So in other words, people who, Pennsylvania residents who just assume that going to a state-related school here is somehow a good investment or financially astute, maybe need to look across the borders.
Except that they charge out-of-state tuition. So,
that's right.
So if you go to Ohio, so for example, Ohio State for an Ohio resident is less than $10,000. My brother paid more than that, and he went there, 10 years ago. Yeah. So, 15 years ago almost. Oh my God, we're old. You're kind of in this captive market or whatever if you want a college education. And now what you're seeing, they just had this little action in the state legislature yesterday, which is the Senate has said, we'll keep your funding at the current level if you promise to index your tuition increase to the price of inflation. So no more 8-9% hikes in tuition if you want the current level of funding that you're going to get.
If these Pennsylvania state-related schools were like the cream of the crop, were like, Stanford and, it would be one thing.
Right.
But they ain't.
Right. I know of some good professors at these schools.
Oh, no, I do
so
too.
Not trying to slight
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's depressing.
Sorry.
Okay, but
See, you started off in a good mood, and I'm
speaking of higher education and let me find this for you. Speaking of higher education, and I think you mentioned the governor.
I did.
And the Post-Gazette had this on the front page. I had this yesterday, and I wanted to bring it up, but my sister was on, and she doesn't know anything about this, so why would I bring it up?
This is the opera thing, right?
Yeah, but I do have the an initial release. Why can't I find it here? Here it is. And the opera, ladies and gentlemen, is about, and I think this is this big fundraiser of the year, this big ball they have. They are going to be honoring, they always have to honor somebody, the governor.
Right.
The Pittsburgh Opera is honoring the governor for his contributions to
education
and the arts.
Yeah.
And when word of this got out, all hell broke loose. I mean, a lot of people here who have been, like at his doorstep begging to have him reinstitute monies to the public schools so that the schools then could reinstitute arts programs.
Raising a future generation of opera lovers, yes.
Yeah, because the things that are being cut are exactly the kind of thing that would yield a future audience for the Pittsburgh Opera.
Yeah.
The short-sightedness of this is mind-blowing. Now, let's be clear. The reason a Corbett and his wife get this kind of wonderful honor is not because they're necessarily worthy of it. That's almost always the case. It's because they're big shots.
Right.
And with big shots comes more money, more people want to be at the event, want to rub elbows, want to that kind of thing.
And let's also be clear that, and I think the opera basically has come out and said as much, arts organizations rely on funding from a variety of sources, one of those being the state.
Yeah.
Folks in Pittsburgh, of course, know that Tom Corbett's wife, Susan, was a member of the cultural scene here. She ran Pittsburgh Arts, the
Arts and Lecture Series.
Yes. So there's a little bit of propitiating the gods going on here.
That's right. We do not know that. So anyway, when the governor and his wife show up at this big event Saturday night, they will be greeted by a bunch of protesters, but so what? I mean, the Pennsylvania Association of School Administrators say the impact of Corbett's cuts mean that 44% of the state school districts have already eliminated courses. And inevitably, that's art, that's music, that's foreign language. 3 things you need to enjoy the opera.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah, foreign language. Yeah.
Oh, God.
In fairness, I don't know how many of those school districts were teaching Italian, but...
Well, and they also say they're giving him the award because he himself was
a teacher.
He had been a teacher.
Yeah.
So
was his wife, I think.
Yeah, he taught high school for 1 year. And by the way, the school district he taught in has lost $1.1 million in education cuts since he became governor.
We should point out that a lot of this is coming from a sort of upstart blog here, Yinzercation.
Yinzercation, which we noted a few weeks ago when I had Kathy Newman on this show, who's one of the founders of it. And Yinzercation is a group of people here in Pittsburgh, most of whom have children in the Pittsburgh public schools, who are getting very organized to fight back. And if you sign up for it, because this has to be one of the more literate releases I've seen in ages.
Well, the person who heads it up is a woman named Jessie Ramey, who's a professor at the University of Pittsburgh. She's also, weirdly enough, her brothers were childhood friends of mine.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, so it's yinzercation.wordpress.com. Incidentally, funny story about this particular blog. I wrote about this blog a month or two back because when it first launched, our old friend, former Post-Gazette reporter Dennis Roddy, now a spokesman for the Corbett campaign,
campaign,
started posting comments on it, just like out of the blue, like yelling at them because the governor's position, and you saw this in some of the media coverage today, is the governor's position is I have increased state funding to education, and the reason the funding is netted lower is because you're comparing the budget now to what it was when the Obama stimulus funding was there, and that provided all this extra money as sort of a one-time revenue shot. And once that money went away, we could not replace it. But the state portion of what we've spent on education, I have increased. I'm putting that out there because there was this sort of interesting moment, I think, in the Post-Gazette story, which is like, it's one of those things where you mock the media for saying, on the one hand, the Republicans say this, the Democrats say that. It's just like, well, there must be some sort of factual thing, but your media accounts often don't get into it.
Yeah.
And so it said something like, the Corbett administration's position is that funding for education has increased, but critics say it's not. It's just like, well, which is it? It ought to be a fairly.
It either is up or it's down.
And the answer is, both are right, which is less money is being spent on education, even though the state is spending more. I mean, I think that's fair to say.
Speaking of Dennis Roddy,
yes,
no one's heard of. I haven't heard. I forgot he existed. Actually,
yeah.
Has he been heard from since he went over to the dark side?
He pops up in some weird kind of ways. There was a thing, and this is just such a total inside baseball, but there's an organization, Citizens for Penn Future, I think is, if I'm getting the name right, who has sort of been very critical of the governor's approach to shale issues. Although they're not for a total ban on natural gas drilling, they do support a fairly stiff tax regimen on it. And Dennis Roddy had penned this memo about, there were some questions about how they had spent some of the money that they had received from the Rendell administration. He just sort of pops up in these weird little ways, like some sort of I don't know, little elf. He just sort of pops up, and he was quoted in this story. There was a big to do.
He works in the press office.
Yeah,
right?
I know, but somehow
wouldn't you be more?
He doesn't do a lot of spokesman duties. In fact, the only time I can think of off the top of my head that he did a spokesman duty was there was a celebrated incident where disability advocates were not permitted into various parts of the state capitol building, and Dennis had the thankless job of explaining why that was. It was just like, it's bad optics to have people in wheelchairs. And Dennis, I guess he drew the short straw
having
that
dogs
morning.
set on them.
Yeah, exactly. He's not terribly visible, and I never had the sense that he would be. I think he did some. I think his job is some speech writing.
Yeah, he probably's writing, because if that is what he was.
He definitely. This goes back to Corbett's first budget address. He definitely had a hand in that, because there were some references to a poem by Wordsworth, and I can tell you, Corbett, though he may have taught a year in Schuylkill County, did not come up with that reference on his own.
Yesterday, the show ended with me trying to figure. I had done an obit of a guy who was said to be the last living great-grandchild of Queen Victoria.
Yeah.
And somebody said, did they not? Wouldn't Queen Elizabeth? Oh, my sister. Wouldn't Queen Elizabeth be the last? I said, no. She must be the great-grandchild. And then we couldn't figure it out. We kept missing somebody, so she kept coming out as a great instead of a great-great. Can you do it?
No.
Really not?
I absolutely cannot.
Well, I looked it up.
Okay.
So for anybody hanging over so Victoria begot the guy I couldn't think of. I said, the fat guy who could never take the throne because she wouldn't die, who was screwing around with everybody. Victoria begot Edward VII, who reigned from her death she made it into the 20th century, 01 to 1910. He begot George V, who was king till 1936.
Right.
George V begot the hapless Edward VIII, who reigned for about 6 days.
Yeah, because he was having that affair.
Yeah, with Wallis Simpson.
Right.
He abdicated to his brother, Queen Elizabeth's father, George VII. It makes her a great-grandchild, not a great Elizabeth. There you have it, just in case anybody was wondering. Okay, so just all kinds of things in the news. If we want to talk at all about the election results yesterday, I don't know. They all seemed like foregone conclusions.
A real shocker out of North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because it's shocking only in the fact that the vote was really overwhelming. I think it was essentially 2/3, close to 2/3 of voters, and that's not just Republicans, that's voters, voted for even though it was already illegal in their state, voted for a constitutional amendment defining marriage as between a female and a male.
Human, right? Female and male, human.
Well, they better go back and do another one.
Yeah, because you don't want to leave that loophole open.
No.
Otherwise, you end up with a man-on-dog action without the gays.
Yes, that's right. I mean, just stop and think. I mean, you really got to...
Come on, pull it together.
So, if Pennsylvania had such a vote, it would win here too.
Yeah, although, there's one wrinkle in that North Carolina thing that's maybe a little surprising. There's some evidence to suggest people didn't realize that they weren't just opposing gay marriage, that they were also foreclosing the possibility of civil unions. And there is some polling to suggest that a bare majority, I think it's 52 or 53%, something like that, of North Carolinians
support civil union.
Could support a civil union thing. And so there was some exit polling that said nearly half of the voters who had just pulled the lever didn't realize that what they were voting was also a vote.
But then that shows
unions.
that the other side didn't do its homework.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Get the information out.
That.
But I mean, do it as you will, all you fearful ignoramuses and haters. It's wrong side of history.
Yes,
sorry, and it's inexorable, inevitable. A roaring train is coming at you. It will mow you down.
Yeah, as will on some of these other issues too, the immigration question and things like that.
Right. So for those, for gay people who are beside themselves or distraught, hang on, really coming soon.
Yeah.
Coming sooner rather than later. I was pointing out yesterday, if you watch these, watch a daytime, game show, or they don't have them, I think, in the day. Yeah, they do, or even in the evening, like Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy. And the contestant, is always asked, so who are you, and blah blah blah, and they say, oh, I'm Nini, and I'm married to my wonderful wife, and with regularity, because I do have them on sometimes. With regularity now, they'll say, "Oh yes," a guy will say, "I've been married for 2 years to my wonderful husband George," and nobody blinks.
Right.
It's a statement of fact.
Right.
And that's as mainstream America as you can get.
Right.
Give it up. It's over. Gay characters. I mean, it's just over.
Right. Then the category on Final Jeopardy is show tunes, and all bets.
And the fix is in.
Exactly. They've taken our game shows.
Okay, now here's the other thing. My sister was railing yesterday about Obama not having the courage to come out. And, who's still evolving. And
I expect my evolution to conclude right around, November 7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere
around there. I think maybe I'll finally I'll walk on two legs from the muck. But look at the vote in North Carolina. This is one of the states potentially in play. This is where the Democrats decided to put their damn convention. So let's be practical. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows he's for it. Let it be. He's going to have to. I mean, I guess he can keep this up. Well, as a rule, I'm evolving. I don't know how these politicians do this with a straight face.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
And then there was this sort of funny spectacle of Biden making his remarks, and then at the same time, in this weird sort of I can't figure out quite how they did it, but the White House message after that seemed to be at the same time, no, this doesn't, this is actually our position all along, although you shouldn't be shocked by it. Like it was just like it was just this weird sort of like it is and it's not, and it's just somebody somewhere said, you know, there's going to be a point where we're going to wake up and it's going to be Barack Obama's for this, but then it's going to somehow be like he's always been for that. You know what I mean?
Well, in some respects, he always has, because I guess he has. But he's a guy who's ambitious and wants to get elected.
Yeah, sure.
And in every case. So even though he signed something while he was in the Illinois legislature, he sort of backed away from it a little bit when he wanted to be a senator. And then when a senator backs away, fine, whatever. That's just the way it goes. Wisconsin result, no surprise, although there again, the margin of victory was a bit surprising. The guy who had initially run against the governor, there'll be a rematch in the recall election. And polling shows it to be very close. But I have to say, what I'm hearing from my home state is the Democrats are just so fired up and so organized.
Yeah.
My own mother has a sign in her yard. I don't remember her ever having a sign in her yard.
Right.
And her neighbor across the street has an opposite sign.
Really?
I mean, it's coming down to neighbor against it. It is something.
That guy seems. Is it Scott Walker who had this thing against talking about puberty in sex ed class? Like, it's just. I mean, what?
I don't know.
In a way, you have to respect it. Everybody's coming out. I mean, he's at the heart of this thing, and people are coming after him, and he's just apparently doubling down on the stupidity. I mean, it's like this guy who beat Dick Lugar last night. This Richard Murdoch, which is so that guy. First of all, that guy's got an awesome name for a Tea Partier. That sounds like
it's Murdoch
but it looks like Murdoch. Exactly.
It's
like those are. I thought those. It's like the name of like the enemies that Doctor Who fought, or something like that.
The name up. I had the same.
That's where orcs come from. The realm of Mordok. So he was on the thing, you know, because Lugar came out with this statement that was just like, you know, I don't really see how this guy's going to govern at all. He doesn't seem to give a damn about working with people.
Well, he doesn't understand about governance. He thinks he's just going to go in there and say, this is what I say. I ain't listening to you. Why even bother going to a hearing, a committee meeting? Yeah. Why talk to your... Yeah. What kind of... Unbelievable.
He was, and again, he's doubling down. He goes on, I think, Fox, and he says, my idea of bipartisanship is Democrats coming around to what Republicans believe. Like that. I mean, so there you go. So if Indiana, if that's
what you want, and
that's what you want to do to the rest of us.
You know, it's funny. I had a flashback to 1980. Where I was at the...
that must have been a bad trip.
I was a working credentialed journalist at the Republican National Convention. Cobo Hall, Detroit. And I was on the floor, you know, wandering around looking for somebody to interview, and I see Lugar. And I thought, ooh, there's Richard Lugar. And, of course, I had, ooh, there's Richard Lugar, that awful conservative.
Right.
I thought he was a conservative.
Right.
He was. In 1980, he was to the right. Yes. I mean, really. Yep. So I went over and said, you know, hi, Senator, I'd like to interview you. And he was, I remember walking away, it always surprised me. And it's good I had these experiences to put my head right.
Right.
He was the nicest man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God, he was a nice guy. Because we talked a little afterwards. I thought, geez, you're a nice man. And I could never then, you know, oh, the evil Richard Lugar. You know, then you meet him and know. Right. And then I always sort of watched him, and I noted throughout his career that even though, yes, he was a conservative, he seemed to be an honorable man.
Yeah.
And who understood how government worked, a serious, honorable man.
Obviously, he had to go.
That's right. That's right.
He had no business in Congress.
No, not in this day and age. And oh my God, how we have come down. Unbelievable. Anything else happen yesterday in terms of election stuff?
I'm actually just curious. You said the margin was surprising in the Democratic thing for the person running against Walker.
Well, because there were three other people running, two of whom you could relatively discount, although one, a member of the La Follette family.
Oh.
the storied La Follette family,
Yes.
Doug La Follette, who's been the lieutenant. He's been the lieutenant governor of that state since I left.
Really?
He's been there forever.
And he didn't even make a showing?
No. I mean, no one takes him seriously.
Why not?
I don't know. He's sort of odd.
Oh.
I've told the story of how when his golden retriever kept getting caught by the cops running into other people's yards and doing what golden retrievers do in other people's yards and things, he finally, I guess, was cited and decided to fight for some reason. And he contacted a friend of mine who was well known as a psychotic to represent him. In fact, his name was Edward Ben Elson, and Eddie Elson had a push cart that he had on the street outside the Capitol where he sold hot dogs. He also was a listen. Wait a minute.
This is great.
Yeah, okay. He also was an attorney.
Naturally.
Edward Ben Elson, but he seriously was insane, wondrously insane.
Right, I see.
Right, brilliantly funny, scary. Whatever. Eddie Elson was an amazingly wondrous person. I got to know him because my husband, a lawyer at the time, did his will, which apparently was one of the funniest documents in the history of the universe. Anyway, for some reason, the lieutenant governor, La Follette, picks Edward Ben Elson, whose business cards always said, Edward Ben Elson, attorney at law, specializing in looney law. He picked Eddie. And they went into court, and Eddie's first salvo was to demand of the judge that the dog be judged by a jury of his peers. And when that didn't go anywhere, they went on with the trial. The arresting officer, the animal control officer's on the stand, and Eddie parades in. The doors of the courtroom open. Eddie parades in 4 golden retrievers.
And asked them to pick one out of the
Ask him to identify the culprit.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, it just went on and on and on in perfect Madtown
So what
style.
was the
I don't.
final?
You know what? I don't even.
You don't remember what the verdict was?
What difference does it make? It was the whole.
Made a difference to that dog.
Well, Eddie Elson, by the way, tried to get me involved in one of his most outrageous schemes, which was. He really was for breaking crazy people out of homes and stuff. He thought they should be free. And there was a place called St. Coletta's near Madison where he did some work and had some clients. One of the people who lived at St. Coletta's was named Rosemary Kennedy. Does this ring a bell?
Yeah.
Rosemary Kennedy was the sister of John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, Shriver, and all that. She was the sister who the father lobotomized.
Man.
And she ended up... The father destroyed her. She wasn't. And she'd lived there forever. And he actually... had sort of befriended her. He'd gotten close to her and befriended her. He loved her very much, Rosemary. He was hatching a plan to break her out.
Like with crowbars, sneak her out in the laundry or something?
Bars.
Right.
She wasn't behind bars.
Right.
She lived in a lovely cottage. He wanted to essentially kidnap her. I said, are you out of your mind? Do you know what'll happen? I mean, geez. I mean, the U.S. government's going to come down on you, Eddie. Somehow the plan...
Only if he crosses state lines.
Oh, my God. I don't know. But that's how... That's what a lunatic Eddie was. Aw, Eddie. Remember the comet Kahutek? That was one of those scary things that was coming here.
Vaguely, yeah.
He made a bundle on that saying... I forget what his scam was on that one. That somehow it was a spaceship, really, coming to retrieve... people that will be the only survivors of. He came up with a whole big thing, and he was their representative, and he was selling tickets to the comet.
Did people buy them?
Yes, Yes, people bought them. And
seriously, do they buy them just to be sort of for the same reason you buy like the Weekly World News?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, who the hell knows?
That's great. So he must have died because you look sad now that you're...
Yeah, he killed himself.
Oh, dear.
And I never saw that coming. Although, he was... what a character. What a wondrous character. And Madison is filled with those kinds of people. Yeah. It's just wonderful. And has always had that kind of loosey-goosey government people that, like, where the lieutenant governor would say, hey, I think I'll get Eddie Ben Elson to do, And think of any of these Republicans doing that.
Yeah. Hiring a hot dog vendor as your... It would have been better if his business card had been hot dog vendor, and attorney at law.
Hot dog vendor and attorney at law. Aw, jeez. Okay, yeah, I look sad. Okay, we got to take a break, I believe, and we'll come back.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Get Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen Live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
This is the sound of a brand new outdoor grill being hurled off a 20-story building. Now a stylish glass coffee table. An electric guitar. These are the things you could enjoy, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Visit EnergySavers.gov and get tips on how to save energy and money. Then do things like switch to Energy Star light bulbs or Energy Star appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. So this doesn't happen to the recliner you've had your eye on, or this to the treadmill on your wish list, or this to the shiny new bike your kid's been asking for. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Opera, City Theater, Symphony, History Museum, and Carnegie Museums. Bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's only online deal site where the deals don't expire. Check out this week's big deal. Over 40% off authentic laser lipo treatments from FDA-approved Zerona. Bergbargains.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Okay. Well, did you read all of Rick's endorsement of...
I did.
I did not. I did. You read all of it?
Yeah, it was like yay long, yeah. And let me tell you, a more heartfelt testimonial from one man to another would be hard to imagine. We were just saying during the break that I just, as I was reading it, I felt sorry for Mitt Romney because, this whole thing comes out of the two of them meeting in Mount Washington. And Santorum has this line about Governor Romney listened very closely as I explained the importance of family, blah, 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 blah. And I just sort of thought Romney just must have just been sitting there as Santorum blither on, just be like, just keep making eye contact. Just smile, nod your head. This will all be over soon, buddy.
But I think he has that kind of interior monologue all the time. Don't you?
I think it's
now I am smiling at these people. Now I will say something about, because he's so awkward with people that I think there's always that voice in his head.
It could be
I will now maintain eye contact. I will laugh. I will.
It could be like that early scene in The Terminator when Arnold Schwarzenegger is in the hotel, like the cheap motel room, and the landlord's like, "Where's your rent, buddy?" And you see like this little menu of options. Yes, no, or what? Fuck you, asshole. Boop, 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 boop. Did these cookies come from 7-Eleven? Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
I supported the auto bailout.
Oh my God. I've been in that office. They had that meeting in Brabender's office.
Yeah, Brabender's office.
Yeah. You've been in there?
No, I have never been in John Brabender's office.
That's a nice piece of real estate.
I'm pretty sure John Brabender ain't skimping on the couches.
It's a few floors overlooking, right there on the edge, Mount Washington, and very nice. Very, very nice.
The most ominous part of that email is there's a postscript at the end. So you didn't read to the end, so you didn't see this.
I didn't read.
Rick says to his supporters, this is the other thing too. If you're going to endorse, just endorse and Governor Roddy, we fought a hard spirited campaign, blah blah blah, and let that be the end of it. He can't even do that.
He's not gracious.
Right. He gives one sentence. Yeah, let's help elect him because meeting Obama is important.
And
then the postscript, the last note of it is, by the way, I'm going to have a big announcement coming up soon, and I hope you'll join me with it. So first of all, we've all been warned. Rick Santorum has a big announcement coming. Maybe he's running for Pope. I don't know. But I was just struck at he shows more enthusiasm for his own next thing than he did for the guys. I just think that just shows whatever
a lack of graciousness,
yes.
which has always been a problem for him.
Remarkable for a guy who
is so Christian.
Yeah, exactly. Or something, whatever it is he is.
So I saw a little note that said Jane Orry has been disbarred. We know that.
Yeah.
And that her pleas of, postponing her sentencing have fallen on deaf ears.
Neither of these things is terribly surprising.
No, so she will be off to jail.
What was the explanation for why she needed more time?
I don't know.
She said she was going to resign anyway, before the sentencing, so it wasn't just an attempt to...
I can't imagine.
I don't know.
I keep trying to imagine somebody who's
I have to do something with these bangs, Your Honor.
Yeah, who's living so, high, and whose trajectory in life has always been, like this. Trying to... And again, you said you almost felt sorry for Mitt Romney. I mean, I feel sorry to get in their shoes at a point like when... there's this big a fall. I can't even imagine.
Right. Better to be us and only get
a
little way up that hill.
Don't go too high. Don't go too high. Much better.
Plateaued, baby.
Yeah, fly below that radar. I do think that.
Yeah.
I do think that. Yeah. Check your ambition.
Right.
Yeah, keep it in some check, at least. That was always my advice to myself, and obviously it's been very successful.
And you followed it to the letter.
I have said to myself, you want to keep making less every year.
So no one will ever envy you.
No, I want people. You don't want pity. You want to still be out there, but just keep making less. Okay, so this McQueary.
Ah, yes.
What a name. You can't make these names up. Murdoch. McQueary. Wants some...
Sounds like a law firm.
Wants some money.
The law firm of Murdoch and McQueary.
Yes, it does.
Have you been injured in an accident?
Oh, speaking of that, Crazy Eddie Elson, he always said that his law firm was... Let me see.
His late law firm? Were there more than just him?
No, of course there was.
Me and the partners.
Flotsam, jetsam, waifs, and strays. Flotsam, jetsam, waifs, and strays.
This reminds me of there was an attorney here in Pittsburgh, and he's still with us. He's not actively practicing law. A guy named Alan Brunwasser, who sort of famous for, he represented back in the heyday of the 1970s red light district, Liberty Avenue. He represented a lot of those club owners, and he's been this gadfly for in a lot of issues. More recently, he had a lawsuit against the new stadiums and stuff like that, which is how I got to know about him. But one of his cases was, one of his clients was one of the dirty bookstores, I think, that the Cultural Trust had sort of bought or was going to condemn or whatever, and there was a question of money owed to people. I think the Cultural Trust, I think they owned the building, and his client was in arrears for rent. And Brunwasser called up the attorney for the Cultural Trust, who, by the way, was a woman, and he said, "Look, my client doesn't really have any money, but we have a lot of merchandise. There's some oils. There are toys, perhaps." You would take these in lieu of a cash payment. And she was like, I'm not going to do that. Actually, I think it was. They owed money to the Donnelly directory. That's who it was. Not the Yellow Pages, but the Donnelly directory. They had an ad in there, and they were trying to like settle this thing out.
Donnelly directory.
Yeah, that's how old that case was.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was all. It was just like a great. That's a lawyer working every angle he can. Will you take it in dildos, Your Honor? It's just like, I can't post bail. However, I do have these flavored. Never mind. I think I've gone far enough down that road for today.
I have edible panties. And
I have this phallus-shaped bubble gum. Is that?
Okay. All right, stop it. So do you think he's got standing as a whistleblower? Because if he's going after this whistleblower.
This is Mike McQueary.
Yeah, back
right.
to McQueary.
Yes.
Could he reasonably call a whistleblower? Because if you are a whistleblower, what does he get? He gets security and or money and or what?
You can't be fired, but apparently he's still on the payroll.
Right, but they're not gonna. But so.
I don't know. It's really. You have to do certain things as a whistleblower, and I don't know that
he followed
telling Joe Paterno something that you saw.
Yeah.
Really constitutes going far enough, especially when Paterno, who's of course now dead, says that he didn't really fully communicate.
Right.
I don't. It's hard to imagine that case going anywhere, but I mean, maybe that's the sort of thing you file just to keep from getting canned next week. Or
okay, now hopping around the globe, as is my habit. I just want to say, how brave would the man who was the infiltrator of Al-Qaeda have to have been? Right. How brave is that Saudi guy?
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
Jeez!
I was reading, I was like, man, this is like this is a TV movie like about to happen.
I mean, that you take all of the characters Tom Cruise has played and all these people. This guy, what nerves of steel he must have had, what smarts, what acting ability, what cool, what unbelievable.
Actually, though, now that I think
it's the nicest thing I've ever said about a Saudi man. I've never said anything nice in my life about a Saudi man. But I have to give him props, as they say.
Now that I think about it, though, I mean, I just said it would make a great movie. The problem is at the very heart of the whole thing is basically a pair of underpants, which I hate to say it.
Special underpants.
They're magic underpants.
I think that's how I thought of him because we said edible undies, and then I got that is what it was.
I mean, there's just a level of just sort of like. It's sort of
no, but that would be just that's not the center. The center is the
at some point. I mean,
and speaking of underpants and the bombers, I heard in some radio thing the other day that the first effort of the underwear bomber, which as we know didn't go well, and that guy's now in jail for life, that they think what might have gone wrong there is that he had worn the underwear in question for 3 weeks before he got on the plane.
Right.
Doesn't that creep you out? Even more than the fact that the underwear could take down a jetliner? Had it on for 3 weeks. Yeah. And they're thinking the fact that he had it on for 3 weeks might have screwed up or done something, chemically to the igniter. That's probably what screwed it up. Anyway, so then
again, I mean, could you wash a pair of underpants like that?
Oh no, you couldn't wash them. But why put them on 3 weeks before?
Yeah.
Unless he had to be outfitted. But I mean, why?
Maybe they had a slimming effect. Hey, your ass looks great in those. I know I'm not supposed to notice that.
Yeah. Oh, God.
He's checking himself out in the mirror before he goes to the airport. I just don't want to take these off.
Oh, God. So I'm also confused about the headlines that read CIA infiltrates.
Yeah,
we didn't infiltrate.
Yeah. Well, we have to take credit for everything.
No, the Saudis infiltrate, but we're working with them. Yes. But still, that's not the CIA. Hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Yes.
Do you know what brand of underwear that was that were worn on the plane?
Fruit of the loom?
No, Fruit of the Boom.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Nicely done.
Oh yeah, did I set you up? Did I set you up? Well, I could have said Haynes. I could have said all kinds of things.
Fruit of the Boom.
Okay, so here's an unsettling little item that I happen
I'm
to see.
prepared to be unsettled.
Out of Seoul, South Korea. South Korean customs said it had confiscated more than 17,000 health capsules smuggled from China that contained human flesh. The Chinese Ministry of Health said Tuesday it had been investigating allegations that capsules were being manufactured from human remains, but it had found no evidence of such. The South...
We're sorry. That human flesh was supposed to be a tiger penis. We apologize.
That's right. Well, they're out of tiger penises.
Right, exactly. So you got to go to the next best thing.
Rhino horns and unicorn placenta. I don't know what this is. Okay.
Unicorn placenta. We'd have to have a special sort of extension. Wow.
All right.
So some quality control issues there with the Chinese merchandise.
Yes, I believe so. And
sorry. So what are they doing? Like, what's so?
No,
it's a
they
recall.
just confiscated
Okay.
them.
Right,
That's all.
Okay.
So, speaking of China, do you have anything you would like to say about the blind guy? And that seems to have played out okay. Everybody, it's quiet, right?
I had this weird.
Okay, tell us your weird thing, because I had a few weird.
I had a weird thing,
reactions
which
too.
was, and
Okay.
it was something in one of the media accounts I read about. It was just sort of like he was under house arrest, and somehow he travels like hundreds of miles. A part of me wondered whether the Chinese didn't let him go on purpose just to cross up the U.S. when they came here, and sort
But
of
also to get rid of him.
Yeah,
Because once he's out of the country, he's out. He's gone. They might have played this. Yeah, you do wonder. But he said since he had navigated, it was his village, he'd navigated the countryside blind all his life. He knew, and he did break his foot, fell a million times, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's a certain level of courage, too, obviously, to do that. But I found the more courageous member of his family was his wife, if you ask me, because he left her behind to deal with the enraged and humiliated authority.
Yeah, I always wonder about that.
So, I mean, everybody's saying, oh, how courageous he is. I'm saying, well, how courageous is it of you to let your wife hold the bag?
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody who helps you might... I never quite understand
I always wondered
wonder
that when there are defectors.
I don't get it.
What?
And now he says he's worried about his family that's left there. I mean, he's taking his children and wife out. But he's wondering about his nephew and this. Well, but all this was part of it beforehand, and all your friends. So I do often wonder if it's worth it. So he gets lauded as the hero, and yet there's all these faceless people who are left to just be tortured and
or whatever.
God knows what, killed.
Even the uncertainty.
Who knows what. And so I sort of have some... I don't know, little reserve in.
No, I think that's good. I think this is what always happens. We always celebrate these folks because it's one for our side, right? But then nobody ever talks about those other people.
No,
nobody ever sees them.
Without whom he couldn't have pulled it off, and who are left behind to face the music.
That'd be good. Some international reporter out there, really ought to dig into that, or go to a country that now isn't so, it'd be hard to do obviously in present day China, but go to, I don't know, maybe like a former Soviet bloc country or a place and see what happens to
the people who help
the people who help the people and the people who get left behind by the people who defected. I would be really interested to see.
Yeah, like who helped Nureyev or who helped whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
Yakov Smirnov. No, you can have him.
Yeah. Take him back, will you, please? We got to get another break in here. Okay. We'll return.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Gustavo and Vela wants to thank all of southwestern Pennsylvania, the USA, and the world for helping to liberate his native country of Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea has suffered 43 years of dictatorship, 43 years of human rights abuses, 43 years of corruption, and 43 years of kleptocracy. Even with $5 billion in oil revenue in 2011, the 700,000 citizens of Equatorial Guinea earn less than $2 per day. A proud Mount Lebanon resident, please help Gustavo and Vela usher in the 21st century by allowing freedom, democracy, and socioeconomic prosperity by the rule of law for the next 43 years and beyond. Email him at presidentandvela@yahoo.com to help free Equatorial Guinea.
Hey Jenny, why do you have May 13th through the 19th highlighted on your calendar?
It's National Women's Health Week. Time to make our health a top priority.
So what's going on May 17th from 10 to 1? You have it circled.
That's the open house for Sanford Brown Institute in Pittsburgh. They're celebrating Women's Health Week too.
Are you gonna go?
Totally. I'm getting ready to go back to school, and I want to see which healthcare program is right for me. I'm thinking about training to be a medical assistant or diagnostic medical sonographer. That's ultrasounds. But they have a lot more programs than that.
Okay, so Thursday, May 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Sanford Brown in Pittsburgh?
Yep, I'll be there, and you should too.
Call Sanford Brown at 877-839-7444. That's 877-839-7444. Sanford Brown cannot guarantee employment or salary. Find disclosures on graduation rates, student financial obligations, and more at www.sanfordbrown.edu/disclosures.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn@pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
You know, I've had some people leave under weird circumstances, but I've never found out they were pursuing a career in medicine while listening to an ad. I guess that's it for Jess. She's out of here. It was a good read, Jess.
No, we were saying that it could be more conversational. And she said that she, at her first read, had been very sort of loose conversational, and then the engineer recording it said, no, you want to put emphasis on this word and that word. And so then you end up with a read like, give us one of the lines. Like, come on. What are we?
I don't know.
Oh, you see, there she gets all shy.
She gets all shy.
She gets all shy.
I would like to pursue a career in ultrasound.
Yeah, right. It's really good. You get a job.
Ultrasound.
No, never mind. I was going to start saying something about, we don't want to. Okay, so lists. Mother's Day coming up.
Oh, yes.
And
oops. I was supposed to send
get on it
yesterday.
Get on it. Do you think you have to do it yesterday? I haven't sent my mom.
My mom was living in California. So
yeah, okay, yeah, you might be in trouble. I only have to get to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay, so the best country to be a mother in? I mean, in terms of, support.
It's going to be one of those Western European nations, France or Scandinavia or Sweden or something.
Norway.
Yeah, okay.
Norway. Tops the overall list because access and use of contraception, female education, even political representation. It is just a good place to be a woman and a mother. United States?
Not so high. Let me guess. Out of how many countries? Was it like out of industrial nations or?
No, it's all nations of the world.
50th.
Oh, apparently we're better than that.
Oh, okay. What was it? Anything out of the top 10 is embarrassing.
We are pretty much the worst of any industrialized nation. We're 25th.
See, anything out of the top 10 is an embarrassment, right?
Yeah.
Where are those family value Republicans when you need them? So why do we score so low?
This is a report put together by the Save the Children Foundation, which I suppose the Republicans would say was a
liberal front group,
a commie plot or something.
The Republican group is screw those little bastards.
I mean,
have brats on your own time, but don't abort.
That about sums it up. That just sums it up. There it is. The United States performs below average overall and very poorly on a number of measures, including lifetime risk of dying during childbirth.
Lifetime risk of
dying during childbirth. We are, guess where, in the USA, we have the highest risk to mothers of death as a result of childbirth in any industrialized nation. What does that say about us?
How is that? How's that possible?
Well, I don't know. It's our wonderful healthcare system and our wonderful help for the poor who don't get the kind of prenatal help they might require. I don't know.
Don't we also do like more cesarean sections than like most other countries? And it wasn't part of the point of doing cesarean sections to protect the health of the mother? It just seems very...
No, it was to protect the wallets of the doctors.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So they don't get sued, right?
Okay, we are also looking very bad in mortality rate of our children.
Yeah.
There is, this is shameful.
Yeah, of course it is.
It's shameful.
Yeah.
The death rate for children younger than 5 in this country is the same as it is in Bosnia. Now, if you're happy with that, fine.
Right.
Let's continue the policies of screwing women and children that the Republicans offer. Let's keep doing that. A child in the United States is 4 times as likely as a child in Iceland to die before the age of 5. 40 other nations perform better than the United States. 40 other nations in the world. And we walk around saying, we're number one, we're number one. Yeah? Tell that to the dead 3-year-old.
And it just literalizes that. I just joked about it, but that we care. We have all these huge debates about abortion and when does life begin and da-da-da-da-da-da.
And look. Yeah.
And yet, the minute the kid is out,
you're on your own.
Yep, you're on your own. Good luck with it. Let us know how it goes.
And maternity leave policies in the United States are absolutely
don't even start
the worst. The worst.
Don't even start.
And the least generous of any wealthy nation. It is the only developed country in the world that does not guarantee working mothers paid leave. Let me say that again. It is the only, the United States is the only so-called developed country in the world that does not offer mothers paid leave. And I'm going to make it even worse. It is one of only a handful of countries in the world that does not guarantee working mothers paid leave.
We should be quiet. Just listen. Did you hear that?
No.
As my wife's head exploding.
Okay.
This is the stuff that just drives her absolutely, utterly bonkers because she, of course, is a working mother. And it is, and she works for, she works for the University of Pittsburgh. She works for an employer who is more understanding than a lot of other places a person might work. And it's still tough.
Yeah, but you just keep listening to those Tea Partiers.
That's right. Get the government out.
That's right. You get them out. And let more children die. Let more women get so stressed out they cannot function. Let's keep it going. Come on, guys. Keep it going. Go after the union so you absolutely have to have 2 working people to support a household. Let's not subsidize childcare. Let's just keep it going like we are because God knows we're moving in the right direction, right?
Right. And these are the family values, people. That's the part that just absolutely just kills me. The irony. They're for family values. Democrats hate family values.
How do you?
I just, and why, and
I know it leaves you. It does. It leaves you speechless. It leaves you speechless. I don't know what to say. When I adopted my son, I could not even get. The Family Leave Act had just been. And I assumed I would at least be able to take off, what does that give you, 5 weeks, 6 weeks? Unpaid, which, of course, most people can't afford.
Right.
And I was told in no uncertain terms that the Family Leave Act did not apply to me.
Because
it had to do with having a child, not adopting a child.
Oh, for crying out loud.
That it was, and this was a woman. who told me this.
Yeah,
This was the woman, the
HR.
assistant to the general manager. And she said, and I remember the meanness of what she said. And it was because I didn't get anything when I had my children.
Right.
And why should you? And the only reason that there is any pregnancy leave, she said, or anything having to do with pregnancy, is because it's considered a medical disability. And that is what it is. It's a medical disability. It's like you had surgery or something, and you need to recover. It has nothing to do with the child. Nothing to do with the child. And because I had not birthed my child, I was told you don't get any time off at all. None.
Wow. So to all you mothers out there, enjoy your medical disability day coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking one for the team, ladies.
And you just keep, any woman, you women, you just keep voting for those Republicans. Keep voting for them. Because God knows they really have your back.
And they're coming for your uterus.
Okie doke. Hey, thanks, Chris. Always a pleasure to have you here. And tomorrow, Tom Sokolowski, speaking of politically incorrect. We'll have a good day.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.